I sort of was trying to think about what to call you guys. And I feel
Humans.
right, humans.
People's good.
Yeah,
People.
I mean, it's,
Ladies.
Women.
first things first, go around and say who you are, as in your name, and what you do at Who Gives a Crap.
I am Kate. I'm the legal beagle here at Who Gives a Crap. So I am our in-house lawyer and I do all the lawyery things.
I'm Ellie. I am our VP of People and Culture, and I am an exec rep.
I'm Vanessa. I'm the head of creative and brand.
I'm Wendy, and I'm the head of production. So I look after all of the sites that manufacture our product.
I'm Jenna Tannenbaum, head of growth marketing at Who Gives a Crap.
And I'm Paige, and I'm our head of talent and engagement.
What does it mean to you to lead a team?
I think one of the things that it means to lead a team is to establish, I think, what you have, your strengths and your weaknesses, and work to bring out the best in your team, whilst also, I think, driving out your company's strategic objectives.
Well, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, that's very hard to follow.
Wendy wins.
Yeah, I think Wendy just said it all.
I mean, so I think like part of the reason why I wanted to get all of you together is because there is something that's particularly special about, well, first of all, a company that has so many women in leadership positions. Why do you think that is? What are the conditions at Who Gives a Crap that make this possible?
I think a big part of it is that Who Gives a Crap recognises that who we are outside of work is actually beneficial to our work. It's not a detriment.
Well, first of all, I think it's really important that we have a woman on the executive team. I think diversity breeds diversity. And so having Ellie at one of the helms of the company, I think really helps guide, set the tone and helps diversify who we look for in candidates.
Yeah.
And what's different about Who Gives a Crap, and what I think really why women are able to thrive here, is that one, we have an incredibly open and flexible working environment. And, as much as we don't want to talk about it, I think being in a pandemic really puts a spotlight on the inequalities at home that men and women have around childcare, around household duties, around all of those things. And I think when you look at a company that has really rigid rules around when you need to be in the office, when you need to be seen, holiday time, all of those kinds of things, women really suffer. And I think something that Who Gives a Crap has done really well, not just for women, but for the whole company, is allow people to really create the work-life balance that fits their life.
I think it started, I don't know, the company is a very human company. And I think before there was any kind of maternity leave, I was one of the first people in the company to get maternity leave. And the moment I was offered a job, I also had to give the news that I was 3 months pregnant, which is something that a lot of women dread. And I half expected that with my news, I would be told that I didn't have a job. And I was completely surprised that I think I spoke about the job, I think it was on a weekend or on a Friday. And within 24 hours, there had been a quick fire, maternity leave policy written up.
I think there's an overall acceptance of choice for any choice that people would make as well in our business. So I think the opportunities that are available for women, I think there has been a conscious effort to ensure that there is representation from women in our business. And I think that comes from just that really genuine human and people first approach.
I'm not going to say that you're girl bosses, and I'm not going to say that you're boss bitches, but why are there no other options? How do you identify this phenomenon?
Is it a phenomenon?
Well, I guess that's a good question.
I think my feelings about some of the things that resonate with women about Who Gives a Crap are all around sustainability. You know, that I feel that women are at the moment are maybe a bit more sensitive to that. And that made me think that draws women to a company like Who Gives a Crap, definitely.
I think a lot of us have come from really different experiences and backgrounds professionally, which have probably seen us in positions where being a woman might have made us unique, but it also might have made us part of the norm.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a very male-dominated work history. I was actually reading something on LinkedIn where an agency that I used to work at in Adelaide, they had just promoted someone it's the first female general manager of an agency in South Australia in 2021.
Wow.
It's unbelievable, but it's true. There are hardly any female creative directors that I know. I didn't have any female role models as a creative. And so unfortunately it is a phenomena.
There does seem to be the situation where you have to make a choice between family or career. And what I love here is that you don't, it is acknowledged that you can do it in combination.
Yeah, I think as well, like we've been in this like crazy whirlwind startup journey, and something that I think has really benefited us as women is that there is a value and a respect for grit and resilience and the ability to juggle and to find solutions. You have to think about ways to get things done. It might be a little bit different. You have to kind of find the voice inside yourself to speak up and represent work that you're working on. And those are really valuable tools to be able to use in a startup environment like ours, which is just moving really, really fast.
How do you think that being a woman has affected the way that you manage a team and lead your part of the business?
I mean, as much as it affects like a man also leading, it's hard to say because you're only like from your own perspective.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely been interesting because I came of age in the business world during like the girl boss moments and like where you have to, and the lean in moment where you're like kind of trying to fit your leadership style into the mold that's already there.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes I've spent a lot of time trying to even figure out what personally works for me.
I probably had like a light bulb moment a few years ago where lots of the things that I thought were disadvantages for me in male dominated environments, I realized could actually be really advantageous. And so being, and it sounds a little bit cliche because these are some of the things that we're kind of painted with as women in business, but I think really recognizing the value of EQ, recognizing the value of care, thinking about how my ability to notice things can be really valuable when it comes to setting a strategy that is inclusive and that can motivate an entire team and bring them along on the ride. Those are things that I have linked into.
Having maybe having had a slimmer pool of role models in our careers means that we were probably all a little bit more thoughtful around what you took away from the good role models that you had, but also what you learned from some of the crap role models. And so I think we probably had a bit more of an eagle eye looking out for inspiration.
I think there's this element of pride that you have in your team, which is something that people don't talk about when you become a leader. And there's this idea where you sort of step forward, but you step back at the same time. But that feeling of pride that you have in your team and developing your team and seeing people shine is something that people don't talk a lot about. But it's hugely rewarding and it's really special.
So getting as much pride and being as happy for somebody else's achievement as you would ever have in your own achievement. Yeah, I totally agree.
I think I was like famous for having proud mum moments amongst our team far earlier than I ever had my own actual proud mum moments. And so I think having gone through that journey personally from looking at my team and, you know, our broader business and their achievements is something that I could be proud of, to now actually being a small human of my own. It's very much the same feeling.
I mean, I definitely think that all of these traits could be held by any gender. And with that in mind, do you think that there is value in differentiating between genders when talking about leadership?
I mean, I still think about the kind of age-old tale that, being equitable isn't about giving everybody the same. It's about helping everybody get to the same point. And so I do think we need to keep amplifying female voices.
In terms of true power, I don't think we're quite there yet.
I'm curious if you've had any female role models when you were starting off in your careers.
Oh, I had a really memorable one. I suppose firm but fair, no bullshit. But at the same time, she made time for things other than than pure business strategic objectives. She made time for humanness in the way that the company operated. And I would say that experience actually resonates quite heavily with Who Gives a Crap, that there's an expectation that you are a human being in addition to an employee. And you're okay to be both things at the same time. And she did that really beautifully with a lot of class. Her name is Jane Shepherdson. If you want to look her up, she's really cool.
I've been really fortunate in that actually the vast majority of my managers in my entire career have been women who have, I think, done a really great job of balancing the art of being really kick-ass, commercially savvy and high-functioning individuals that still really cared and had a very strong personal connection with all of their team. And I think throughout my journey, I've actually had people that have kind of nailed it to different extents.
I had a somewhat opposite experience to that. I was the only female in my team for 8 years.
Wow.
We had a couple of juniors come through my team, but Ellie was my first female manager. Even in my previous role, I had male managers. So that's sort of something where I've had to go outside my little circle to try and find people that I look up to.
I often hear women saying, like, how do you find a mentor, or how do I find a mentor? What can I do? And I think it's really important, to remember that anyone can be a mentor, regardless of where you are in your career. It's really about just helping the person right behind you.
How does it feel to know that you are the representation that you may not have seen?
I feel like that was a heavy one.
Yeah, it's a heavy one. I'm going there, you guys.
I think that's really energizing and empowering. That gives me a lot of energy to get up every day and try, this sounds really cheesy, but try and be the best manager and mentor to people. It gives me endless amounts of energy to keep trying when things aren't working, or I suggest something new to everyone and then I hear radio silence, or I suggest something and it makes someone stay and changes the way they work. And so it gives me a lot of energy and a really great feeling to keep going.
It also makes me feel really positive about the future. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I look at her, and even as a 7-year-old, the values that she has, I'm like, if the whole generation's like this, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I definitely I get a lot of motivation from it, but it has a burden, and it can be daunting too sometimes, right? So I definitely have to dig deep in those moments where I could let something go, or I could let it go past, but deep down I know that I've got a responsibility to pay it forward, and to say something which might be uncomfortable, or to call something out, to speak louder than I might want to, because if I don't, I'm making it harder for the next person.
I really like the challenge of it. I don't know if this is a cool thing to admit, but I read Lean In and I was so fired up after I read it that I shared it with Danny, who's one of the co-founders of the company. And I was like, right, I think we need to change some things. And we were talking, I was going over to the US for work, and I had a 4-month-old baby who was still nursing. And so I said that I thought we needed to think about the way that we expected our employees to travel when they had small children. And to his credit, Danny listened, and he also leaned in at my request. And then some stuff got changed, and I love doing stuff like that, because as Ellie says, it paves the way for other people, and it's like opened things up for the next wave of people who had children in the company. And I felt like I'd made a difference, and that was a great feeling.
Thinking back on your journeys to get to where you are, what is the lesson that you would want to impart to a young girl who wants to be successful in business in the way that you have?
I mean, I have one, but it's not suitable.
Are you going to say lean in?
No, it's if anyone tells you to be nice, you can tell them to f*** off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I think is you can't just wait for opportunities to come knocking. You have to go out and actively look for them, and sort of make your own opportunities.
Yeah, I think similarly to that, it's probably a kind of a nice penny drop moment for me was when, you know, the more that you focus on doing work that you're good at and that you enjoy, the better it's going to be for your career. And so I think if you don't have a role model that that operates in the same space that you do, or that you want to be like, just continue to kind of dig deep and work through what you're good at and what you enjoy. And those opportunities will come, and you'll be more successful by nature, but you'll also be a happier person, which I think we all know contributes to the overarching success of our careers as well.
And mine is probably don't get sucked into what everybody else is doing. It's so easy to compare yourself to other people, and it really, I think, holds you back in the long run, because it clouds your own ability to make decisions on your own behalf. And the second one for me is always just take the long view. Be aware of where it is that you want to go, and be pretty tireless in getting there.
You should always find the opportunity in any situation. I've worked with a lot of people who are like just waiting for, you know, the perfect project or the exact thing that they want. And I think it's really important to, you know, do an amazing job at any project that's given to you, and find the opportunity in all of the projects that come across your way. So when I was in banking and I knew that I didn't want to continue that career choice, I still, you know, put in 100% and did really well. And I utilized that time to help, you know, raise my hand on projects that that helped me build skill sets that I wanted to build out.
I think I would tell people that asking for help is not a weakness. So I think some of the biggest step changes that I've had in my career were where I stopped trying to act like I had everything sorted, or that I knew how to do everything. And it was when I reached out and asked for help that I had the biggest step changes. And I think part of that reluctance is because when you are a woman and you are fighting for your career and you're trying to stand out in a crowd of men, we have this, well, I've definitely had this feeling of like needing to be perfect and needing to have everything sorted. But it was when I showed my cards and asked for help that I was able to actually achieve the most.
My advice would be that you should go for things that you think that you're only 50% suited for. Things don't need to be perfect, and you can show your awesomeness through, and your lack of something else through that other 50%. And so don't wait for things to be perfect, and just go for things that you think you could do or get better at.
These are all really good pieces of advice that, as me, a young girl, I am taking very seriously. Well, this is a really cool little group we have here, and is there anything else? Those are all my questions. If there's any final words that you want to say, now's the time.
Well, I just want to clear up. Is it cool to read Lean In?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you've got to read it. No, you do.
It's totally cool. Yeah, it's an awesome book.